I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't want to be the guy to have to do it. I didn't want to have to come back here again and police comedians. But for the love of the game, I'm going to do it.
You can't say that.
Sir, you can't
Is he
say that.
allowed to say
I'll
that?
say it louder. We've got this guy, Tony Hichcliffe. He's up at a Trump rally. He makes a joke. And I'm going to let you listen and be the judge for yourself.
It is absolutely wild times. It really, really is. And, there's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Okay. We're getting there.
That was his joke. Unfortunately, I had to come back and police comedians again. Earlier in this month or last month, I was talking about Andrew Schultz when he had Shits and Gigs on the Flagrant 2 podcast. He made a joke about black women. There was a bunch of outrage. A bunch of people were mad at the Shits and Gigs guys for letting him make that joke and laughing at it. And I came out and said, hey, the joke wasn't funny. It sucked. But Andrew Schultz, he's a comedian. Everything is not going to hit, right? So we understand people can make bad jokes. The difference is when Andrew Schultz made his joke, he's on a podcast in real time. This guy is just a bad comedian. You got on stage, you planned to make this joke, and it sucked. It's absolutely flopping. I'm not in the business of telling people what they can and can't laugh at. If you thought it was funny, then so be it. But objectively, this is a bad joke. It just sucks. A floating island of trash. Oh, it's called Puerto Rico. No, this is not hitting. I don't know what audience this is going to cater to, which is making them clench their stomach. So Tony Hinchcliffe, honestly, you're just a bad comedian. You shouldn't have went with that joke. I'm not sure why you wrote that down. You practiced it in the mirror or however you practice your jokes, and you thought that was going to hit. Let's see what some of the outrage online is as a response to this joke. Here's a response from Governor Tim Walz. If you're not aware, this is Kamala's running mate, so he might be the vice president next week. We'll see, especially after this clip. Who knows? It says, Governor Walz and ALC react to this clip. When you have some asshole calling Puerto Rico floating garbage, know that that's what they think about you. It's what they think about anyone who makes less money than them. I want every Puerto Rican in Philadelphia and Reading and across the country to see this clip. So obviously there was going to be something that the left picked up and said that they didn't like, right? Whether it be a political point, whether it be a guest, something that a guest says, like this guy. With that being said, I think this guy added unnecessary fuel to the fire, to be honest. This is not the only joke that I'm hearing that he made. I hear he made one about black people, something about eating watermelon. Once again, a bad joke. You can make a joke that's offensive. I've heard jokes that are offensive to a wider audience, whether it be Dave Chappelle or Andrew Schultz. I've even seen Andrew Schultz in person. I know he's a good comedian, even though I didn't like the Shits and Gigs thing. So I understood the context of his joke at that time. But this is just bad joke telling. Just flat out, like you're terrible at your job type joke telling. We need to make comedians great again, because this level of joke telling is just not going to do it for me. But let's get back and see what other responses that people put out. Okay, so here we have ALC. She's on MSNBC responding to the clip. Let's see what she has to say.
Right now, the campaign is scrambling, and they're trying to blame this rhetoric on a so-called comedian. This is not a comedian. This is the Trump campaign.
He might be a comedian.
They invited this rhetoric on their stage for a reason.
That's a fact.
It was a chorus of speakers on that campaign for a reason. It was vetted, and they knew exactly who was going to say what before they went on. And so the only backtracking that they're doing right now is just because
she would know better
tens
than I
of
would.
thousands of Puerto Ricans happen to live in Philadelphia, Florida, Michigan, Wisconsin, and also the several swing seats in the House of Representatives that run through the state of New York, and they're just realizing that they might have made a big error by saying out loud what they're thinking. Right now, the campaign is scrambling.
I'm kind of at odds on this. Yes, they invited him on the platform as a speaker at the Trump rally, but I don't think they can be entirely blamed for what he has to say. That's a grown man. He's responsible for the words that come out of his mouth, and nobody else can be fully responsible for that. With that being said, if this is his brand of comedy and they invited him on knowing that, it does speak to the type of audience that they're trying to cater to. Once again, I don't know him, never heard of him before. Probably not going to listen to anything from him after this. If he had better jokes, I'd probably go check him out, but can't do it. Not wasting my time. Somebody invited him on that stage to speak, and AOC is saying that the guest speeches are vetted. If that's the case and they let this joke fly, they absolutely fumbled the bag on this one. After that comedian finished spitting in the face of Puerto Ricans, Bad Bunny came out and endorsed Kamala Harris. If you don't know who Bad Bunny is, he's a Puerto Rican artist, huge guy, huge artist. Performing in stadiums where he's selling out tens of thousands. I think he made like $100 million off of one tour. But he went out and he endorsed Kamala Harris immediately after that. Bad Bunny is hugely influential. He might be the biggest Spanish singing pop artist, at least as of right now. And his endorsement of Kamala Harris is going to have some effect on the Puerto Rican voting base. I'm not entirely sure what it's going to be. I'm not saying that 100% of people that were on the Republican side prior are going to look at Bad Bunny's endorsement and switch over and vote Democrat. It's going to have some effect on the voting base. So this is what Bad Bunny posted on his story endorsing Kamala Harris.
So much at stake in this election for Puerto Rican voters and for Puerto Rico. And this election is not just a choice between Donald Trump and me. It is a choice between two very different visions for our nation. I will never forget what Donald Trump did and what he did not do when Puerto Rico needed a caring and a competent leader. He abandoned the island, tried to block aid after back-to-back devastating hurricanes, and offered nothing more than paper towels and insults.
If you don't remember, this is what Trump did when he went to administer aid to Puerto Ricans after the hurricane. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. Like, just let the people line up and get the paper towels. So this is what Kamala Harris was referring to. The guy that just endorsed Kamala Harris has 45.6 million Instagram followers. That's going to have some effect on the voting base. If there are huge populations of Puerto Ricans in swing states like Pennsylvania and specifically Philadelphia, like AOC said, that's going to have a huge effect on the way that this election turns out, all because a guy wanted to get on stage and make a poorly written joke. So sometimes you can dig your own grave, and sometimes you can have a comedian do it for you. Guess we'll see what happens. Till next time. Peace.